Not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, says the Lord of hosts. Zechariah 4, verse 6. Welcome to Martial Arts Past and Present with Sensei Ed Briz. Interviews and discussions with martial artists from around the world, along with tournament perspectives.
Welcome to another show of Martial Arts Past and Present. I am Sensei Ed Briz. My hope is that you will continue on this martial arts journey with me. I would like to introduce our guest today. Even though we spoke on the phone about a year ago and we had no idea who the other really was, I actually met Jef at Bill Superfoot Wallace's big birthday bash. Jef has studied and taught in China for many years. However, his expertise extends to ministry and missions. Jef Naayers, welcome.
Thanks, Ed. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm glad to have you. Since we met, we've become pretty good friends.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, like-minded people get along.
Yes, that's true. And we have some common ground together, which hopefully
Indeed.
we'll cover in this interview.
Yeah.
Jef, as long as I got you here, why don't you give the audience a brief overview about yourself, like where you were born, or grew up, or something like that?
All right. Born in Columbus, Ohio. Go Buckeyes. And for all you football fans. And anyway, grew up there, went to college down in Florida. Started in karate when I was a kid, when I was 11 years old. Did just about a year. Did taekwondo after that, and along with that, Shipagi, which is a Korean kung fu system. After that, did a Southern kung fu system for a couple years, and then went on to traditional Northern styles, traveling to China and so on. So long time, since 11 years old.
Very good. How'd you first get introduced to martial arts, and what drew you to it?
Wow, I was I was a kid. I was on my way to bed, and my parents were talking in the kitchen. I walk around the corner to go up the little steps, and I noticed something on the TV. I looked over, and it happened to be the first pilot movie of Kung Fu with David Carradine. And I just kind of looked over, and it grabbed my attention, and I saw these bald Oriental looking guys at the time who thought like that, and didn't even know. I'd never seen a Chinese or Japanese or any kind of Asian person before. And it just captured my attention because back in those days, action, I'm seeing all these swords and spears and then these flashbacks to temples and that kind of thing. And wow, I was just fascinated. And so I just kind of snuck down and stayed there and started watching. And it just captivated me, and it just grabbed a hold of me. And funny enough, 2 weeks later, my mom comes home from the grocery store, and she has a little coupon for 2 weeks of free karate classes, and that's how it started.
That's how it all started, huh? That's great.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm not a lot of guys are Bruce Lee guys. I got started with the David Carradine stuff. So even though I watched the Bruce Lee movies and that, so
Okay. Jef,
yeah.
with the introduction I gave you, could you please expand on some of the things I said, such as what your expertise is now, as I mentioned in ministry and missions?
Well, my expertise in martial arts is Chinese style martial arts, traditional Shaolin Kung Fu, and different styles of Kung Fu that I've studied over the years, Tai Chi and Qigong. So that's my expertise for my career. Along with that, through the years, things evolved into um, more of well, when you mention a missions-based type thing or a Christian ministry type thing, that's always been like a private one-on-one thing that happens with me through relationship with students or anybody really. And so through the years, that has grown and grown and grown. And as you age and get older, like me, then you start to see how, you start to understand what is the most important and how can I get the most important effects of who I am and what I do and pass that on to others, if that makes sense. So, my Christian walk, along with my martial arts journey, um, will go hand in hand.
Hmm. And we've spoke about that. You and I have put that together, and we both believe the same thing.
Hmm.
And I think it's great. I mean, that's I guess that's what drew us together is that we have the same beliefs. To the audience, if you find this information is interesting and helpful, hit like. Jeff,
Yes.
what's a belief or principle you hold that most people in your field would disagree with?
Hmm. That most people would disagree with. Let's see here. I would say titles. Titles.
Titles. Okay.
Yeah, titles. Boy, oh boy, titles are misused so many times. And I want to explain that because there'll be people that get upset after what I'm about to say, probably. Um, I hate them. I understand them. I understand decorum and chain of command and those kind of things in the classroom setting. But titles are thrown out there so frivolously that it just drives me crazy. And I'm not the only one that feels that way. When you've got people that are 26 years old and calling themselves Grandmaster so and so, when everybody in the planet is Master this and Grandmaster that and Soke this, and it just drives me, especially when they introduce themselves when we're just guys. We're just guys. We're friends. We're in the same business, and they come up and introduce each other to at an event, whether it's a tournament or some kind of banquet or whatever, and they introduce themselves as, "Hi, I'm Grandmaster so and so," or "I'm Sensei." It's like I'm Jeff. How you doing?
Right.
You
Right.
know,
Yeah, absolutely.
then we can talk about it. What do you do? Oh, I do Kung Fu. Oh, I do Taekwondo, whatever. But yeah, that's something that has gotten out of hand in my world, the Chinese martial arts world. They say Sifu or Shifu, depending if you're from mainland or from Hong Kong, southern China, and they introduce themselves as that, or they reach a certain uh, rank in their school and they get a certain certificate, and then they've earned the title of Sifu.
Hmm.
I'm sorry, guys out there, but it is not an earned title from passing a physical or written test. Um, what most people, and especially in the Southern styles, don't understand is that the word Sifu, meaning teacher, father, these kind of things, is used in many things. If you're a great chef, you're a Sifu at being a chef. If they call taxi drivers Sifu. I mean, it's someone who's got an expertise at something through longevity, hard work, effort, and diligence. Okay, but it's more than that. In mainland China, you call your teacher teacher. The Chinese word is Lao Shi, Lao Shi. And you do that until a relationship is developed. So if you've been with your instructor, your teacher, your master instructor for a long enough time, then there's a relationship that's developed, and then he becomes your shifu. Because so it's based off of relationship, and again, longevity, diligence, many years of showing your character and that relationship building. So titles. I'm just going to speak from my world, not the Japanese or Korean world, but in my world, that's what's misused um, in the open circuit tournament world, banquets, Hall of Fames, all these events that we go to. Um, it's overused, especially amongst peers. Like
Yeah.
when you and I are together, it's Ed and Jeff. I understand in a classroom, if I'm in your school, then I address you properly and so on. But I guess
Right.
that's the thing that irks me the most. We want to make changes in that. We want to guys my age uh, want to make changes in that arena if possible. And I appreciate this forum here to express that a little bit. I'm part of a an organization. called the Global Chinese Goshu Wushu Society. And it's a group of master instructors um, that around the world that are well known. They're all around my age. They're all in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and even 80s. And they're kind of the who's who in the Chinese martial arts. And this society is not about a federation that wants to promote tournaments and make money and do this kind of this kind of thing. What it is it's a support network to where we can support each other's uh, uh, seminars and events and these kind of things. But more than that, um, we want to help society out there understand and legitimize authenticity from things that are maybe not so authentic. So, you know what I'm talking about. There's instructors out there that have schools, even successful
Hmm.
schools. And, maybe they studied 2 to 4 years and all of a sudden they're master somebody, so and so, or 6 years or whatever, still. And they're master so and so, and they've got this school. And one thing to understand is this. Students all think that their teacher is the greatest there is. That they think
Right.
they're the best,
Right.
and that's fine, and they should. And but there's a line between legitimacy, meaning what is your lineage, who did you teach, or who did you learn from, how long did you study, do you have real lineage, or are you somebody who took a bunch of seminars and opened a school because you could? Okay, so the Global Chinese Koshu Wushu Society is one organization that is has a desire to help legitimize Chinese martial arts by not regulating, but understanding and getting the word out of what's considered legitimate, what's considered authentic, and what is not. Now, that being said, there are many schools that are coming and instructors that are coming aboard because they want to be. It's not their fault. In other words, they had a teacher who said, "Yeah, go out and open a school." And now that teacher's making maybe some residual, some income off of that new teacher, and that new teacher's kind of law. They're doing the best they can. Maybe they have skill, they have talent, they have physical abilities, but maybe they lack in some leadership. Maybe they lack in business acumen. Um, and maybe they're just not as legitimate as they think because their scope, their view, their understanding is very narrow. And it's not their fault. They just don't know that, it's much bigger than that, and that there are people out there that are far, far more advanced than they are. So we want to bring those people in, maybe help get them some supplemental training, take them on trips to China, let them see the real deal and get some exposure, not trying to take over or change their school name or anything like that. And there's not even recruiting, but to become part of an organization that can help you um, be seen as more legitimate and authentic with continued education and training.
Right. I know because there's a lot of instructors out there that think they are the best, but they really don't think that they try to portray that, but
Yeah,
they really know deep inside that they're not because they're afraid to send their
that's
students
true.
to a seminar or another school for a seminar or whatever it might be because they're like, no, because I might lose them. They might like that better,
Exactly. Exactly.
you know.
Exactly. You
So
see that in the church world.
right, yeah, oh, absolutely, absolutely. And just going
Yeah.
back to what you were saying about using first names and things like that in a social setting. I tried to do that. It actually finally worked, but I was talking to a lot of martial artists who own schools down in Florida when I lived there. And what would happen is I would say, why are we using master and this and that and the other thing? I said, first of all, I don't even like the name master because there's only one master and I'm not it. So I said, why don't we just call each other by our first names, when we're social?
Yeah.
And finally they all agreed and that's what we do.
Yeah.
Uh, but there's people out there, they get the title and their heads just go woof, woof, woof.
Because in their life, that's the greatest achievement so far, and now they have students that are under them. They have some kind of, you know, level or power to where they feel like they've made it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
But
Jeff.
that's just the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, we could talk just on that for another 2 hours.
Oh yeah.
You know, but you covered it very well. I like how you covered it. You put it in a great way. As a matter of fact, one of the ways I know of putting it in a condensed version of what everything you just said is there's always somebody out there that could beat me. I just haven't met them yet.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's actually a quote by Chuck Norris, but I've found people that can beat me easily. So I've already found them. Um,
Yeah. But
can you trace?
all those people still wear Chuck Norris pajamas to bed, though, right?
Right. That's funny. Can you trace a moment in your life when everything shifted for you professionally and or personally?
Going to China for the first time. So
I
going
bet that
back
was
to
a
when I
big
was a
deal.
little kid watching it, yeah. So watching all those the series, the Kung Fu series with David Carradine back in the 70s. Um, I just, there's something in me that said, man, I want to go there someday, but it seems impossible. Back then, China was closed to the world. A lot of people don't know that until 1980. And then the Jet Li movie came out called Shaolin Temple.
Mhm.
And Americans didn't see that movie for quite a while. You had to know how to get those, they used to call the cheesy old uh, kung fu movies, this Saturday night kung fu fury show or whatever,
Right, right.
But anyway, that propelled everything, and so we were able to go, and I started going every year. So I'd come, I'd save all my money, work, save the money, go to China, spend the money, come back, work, save the money, go back to China, spend the money, and so going to China changed me professionally for sure. And then
How'd
I
your wife
learned
feel about that?
well, I wasn't married at the time because it was the
Oh,
early
okay.
days.
All right.
So
All
yeah,
right.
yeah. But then I had to marry somebody that supported that. So she she did. Sometimes I'd be gone for 3 to 6 weeks or 8 weeks or even longer sometimes. Uh, Taking a tour or just staying at the Shaolin Temple or something training or whatever. So
So that
you
so that
know
that
what
that is a big deal. I mean, doing things
it's a
like
big
that.
deal,
Go.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
so then personally, to answer the second part of your question, I guess I would say, how did it change me personally, more than just professionally? I guess discovering, seeing the difference between. Let me go back. What drew me to the Kung Fu series on TV back in the early 70s, um, more so than the cool fighting, because as a kid back in those days, in the 650s, 60s, 70s, it was all cowboy movies. All you ever saw was guns and bar fights. But then
hmm
all these, you got spears and swords and monks and all this kind of thing. And that was cool. But I realized that what really drew me was the philosophy. So when we do the flashbacks to the temple, you know, and Master Po and Master, all the masters were, um, saying these, Taoist and Confucius quotes and so on. And so it was the lessons. It was the philosophical lessons that drew me even more than anything. And I
hmm
realized that that was something that maybe that was lacking in my life. And so I followed that pursuit. And oh man, it led me to all kinds of things because when I was younger, I wasn't a Christian. I mean, I was a regular kind of American that believed in God and I knew who Jesus was, but I didn't know him. Uh, it was just basic. Never went to church. None of that stuff. Easter once in a while or something like that. But my mother, give her credit, she uh, she did take us to mass. Uh, uh, as much as she could once in a while, but she had no support. and did the best she could. But she introduced something to us. But anyway, a seed was planted, um, wasn't watered, didn't grow. But I followed philosophy that I started reading and understanding as I get into my junior high and high school years of Confucianism and Taoism and all kinds of Indian stuff and all kinds of different things. So there's a searching, there's a seeking, and I believe that everyone that joins the martial arts, I don't care what style, they're searching not just to learn how to kick, punch, or defend themselves, not just to learn how to fight in a tournament or something. They're looking for a better way to live their life, and they're looking for instruction on how to live a better life, a successful life, a life with confidence. Um, they're searching for something deep inside. I believe that about everybody that joins the martial arts. Kids excluded because their parents are just putting them in there. But um, that was me for sure. So I'll just speak of my own experience, and the reason I say I believe everybody is because I've been a school owner, a multi-school owner, and I've just seen worked with hundreds and thousands of students before. Um, so going to China, what changed me is seeing the difference between philosophy, religion, and relationship. And that was
Hmm.
a long journey. Philosophy, religion, relationship, and understanding what philosophy was that I was learning all those years growing up. Then what religion was, religion, man's formed religion, and all of the denominations of religion. And then the difference between that and relationship. And I think that that's the number one stumbling block for people who, and I don't mean to go on a tangent, but for me personally here, since we're in an interview, um, I think the biggest stumbling block for people that would maybe come into Christianity is they look at it as religion. And when you use the word religion, it's man's religion, men sitting at a table discussing laws and bylaws and rules and regulations and traditions and all these things we're going to do, and let's call our denomination this.
Right,
Okay?
right,
That is completely different than a Christ encounter, a relationship, a personal relationship that is personal. And people watching this podcast right now, maybe you don't understand that, or you think he's just some, weird Christian guy. But the fact is that you don't know until you know, and you'll never know it until you call out and realize that, I can't do this on my own. And if you're
right,
real, show yourself to me and make yourself known. But you got to open yourself up to it. And what you'll realize that it's not about following any kind of rules and regulations and bylaws and so on and so on. And it's not about joining a church, and it's not about uh, doing religious acts. It's not about that. It's about relationship. And it's a one-on-one vertical relationship that you start. And the deeper that vertical relationship goes, the greater chance you have of making that a horizontal type of thing, meaning that now you can speak about your own experience, which is what I'm doing now. And I
right.
don't mean to go off on too much of a tangent, but you asked the question, what changed for me personally? That was it, finding being drawn by the philosophy of the martial arts, not just the physical things. Understanding then it showed, going to China and such, I'm seeing, Buddhism, Taoism, Confucianism, so religious type things, and then understanding the difference between religion and relationship. And I credit my entire martial arts journey to getting me to that place. And a friend of mine put it this way once, Scott Anderson, uh, my best friend. He said that if you diligently, truly seek God, who is he, what is he, what's his nature, then all people will eventually end up with Christ. So I believe that because if you truly seek, then you're going to go through this, you're going to go down this road and this road and this road, and all roads will eventually lead if you're truly seeking.
And it's true. I can attest to that from my life. Um, it's a lot of people just don't understand it because they don't want to understand it. They can't believe it's so
Because they
easy.
think it's religion. They think it's
Right.
religion. It's going to change their whole life, and they're worried about how people are going to feel about them and think about them. And oh my gosh, I could never do this in front of my students or my family or whatever. And so there's fear, and there's also fear of I'm going to have to give up everything. I'm going to lose friendships.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
some of that's true, but how much of a truth seeker are you?
Right. And that's key.
That's key. That's martial arts.
Yeah.
You're seeking truth. You're seeking the path and the way, you know?
Right.
So, I can do it hand in hand.
Yes.
We're gonna get
Absolutely.
you're gonna get some emails, and I'm gonna get some emails saying, "Well, how can you be a Christian and do martial arts where you're learning how to hurt, maim, and kill?" And we could go into that. We won't do that on this show, I don't think, but there's definite answers to those kind of things. So,
Yeah. Well,
but
there's
we don't have to go with that.
yeah, there's a project that I'm working on now. I spoke with you a little bit about it already, and hopefully we can get well into it with that. With that, we'll see what happens. But it basically comes down to how martial arts has so much of the Bible in it, and it's claimed that it's from overseas and so on and so forth, but it's I don't want to say too much because I'm going to give away the whole project, but how the Bible should really be controlling martial arts. Okay, now I know I just confused everybody a lot more than they were confused before, but
That's right.
when we get it together, you'll understand because we'll go into depth on that.
It's true. Yeah, I
Yes.
mean, martial arts, traditional, say Asian martial arts, and there's other martial arts around types of martial arts around the world, obviously, but um, philosophies rely on man's best efforts. When you become a Christian and you have that relationship, it's not about your best efforts at all. You don't earn your way to heaven, let's say. It's not about your best efforts and or how focused you can be or how long you can meditate. You know, you know. I notice so many of these people, these Buddhists, especially in China, that meditate. They'll meditate all day. Meditate 12 hours and such, and they're meditating and they're hitting their gourds and and all these. It's like you're doing that so long every day so you won't screw up and have to come back as a
Mm.
bug or something. It's like you're caught in religion, man's religion, and you're basing everything off your own best efforts.
Mm-hmm.
And man, it was just my eyes were opened and I saw that so clearly. And
Mm-hmm.
anyway,
Well, there you go. If you like the content, hit subscribe. I got to throw that in there.
heck
Hopefully they
yeah,
will. Um,
yeah. Not every interview is like this, folks. So
that's true.
it's just
And
me.
and for some of you out there, this is a fantastic interview. For some of you out there, you want nothing to do with it.
Right,
That's your choice. But
right.
remember, you made that choice.
Yeah.
Chris,
And you're not,
Jeff, what? Go ahead. What were we gonna say?
I was just gonna say, and you're not looked down upon by anything like that,
Right,
and nobody's better than anybody else. You're asking me questions, I'm answering for me. So
right.
yeah.
Jeff, what's a project or idea you pursued that completely surprised you with its outcome?
In the martial arts world, I would say tournaments and federations.
Okay.
And I was part of that. If some of you out there know what the Arnold Sports Festival or the Arnold Classic, it's changed its name several times over the years. And I did the martial arts portion of that. It used to be the largest tournament in the country when we were doing it for the first 10 years. My last year was 2005, where I was the chairman of that. And Then it was taken over by Toki Hill, a well-known karate guy. And anyway, I did the first 10 years, and uh, what surprised me was, oh gosh, and I worked with the Battle of Columbus and some other large tournaments. What surprised me was the most, and didn't turn out the way you always want it to, is that everybody wants to be the guy. Everybody wants to be the grand poobah. Everybody wants the recognition. Everybody wants to be the CEO, the grandmaster, the head guy. They want to be the ones up on the stage. It, it's the quest for being seen and recognized, which a lot of people are in the martial arts for. They want that black belt. They'll pay any amount of money to get that black belt. They want the recognition. They want some kind of sense of accomplishment, um, and which is fine. You want to pursue those things. But when it comes to doing something and just playing your role so that the function, the whole function itself functions, and you have a successful event. You'd be surprised that when you do a large event, anyway, a large event like those, you're very surprised by people, I would say.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
Arnold, over those 10 years, I got to work with Arnold and have lunches and different things like that, and talk with him, get to know him a little bit. And one of the things that he used, a famous kind of line, is it's amazing what you can accomplish when you don't care who gets the credit. And that when he told that to me, that was the first time I had heard that one. And I know a lot of people use it these days, but it's so, so true. So I guess that
Mhm.
surprised me. And when it comes to federations, I've been involved with so many federations, and it's all about bringing something together. It's all about ego and trying to make money on a tournament, whatever. I don't have anything against putting something together, but there's never any longevity to it. There's never any, it never lasts more than a few years, and then it
Right.
changes. And we've all seen it in every discipline. And I guess that those ideas, those great things that you want to do, you want to accomplish, you want to contribute to the martial arts world, no matter if you have this campaign for uh, anti-bullying or whatever it might be. You want to do these great things, and they just don't seem to have longevity to it. And usually it's because ego gets in the way with people, and then
Mm.
there's infighting and such. So I
Yeah.
guess coming up through the years, that's what surprised me.
Yeah.
Um,
When you
another
look
thing,
back, yeah, go
oh,
ahead. You
go
got
ahead.
more? Go. Go ahead.
No. Well, you asked me what's a couple of them. Another thing that has surprised me is that came to my mind is in my own personal schools, we used to have on Saturdays, we used to have an open forum, uh, question and answer period. So after classes on Saturday, we would have an hour, and whoever wanted to stay could, and we'd have snacks and drinks, and all it was I said, okay, open forum, ask me anything about China, um, philosophy, techniques, history, anything you want to talk about in the kung fu world. And back, and especially in the early days, um, it was very exciting. It was still new and interesting, mysterious. And so we'd start off with questions about this or that, and it would always, every single time, it would always lead to uh, Taoist philosophy in the martial arts, or Buddhist philosophy, or Confucius philosophy, and history of that, and would always, always, always turn to religion or philosophy. Every time you could be talking about fighting techniques, or spear technique, or whatever you were doing, sword technique, and somehow very quickly it would always turn to philosophy and religion. And once in a while, I'd get a student that would say, Sifu, loving this. I'm loving Kung Fu. I'm loving it. I'm getting in shape. I feel great. And I just want to get more into the spiritual aspect of it. Can you recommend a good book of Buddhism for me or something? And so in their mind, they thought that those two things are related, which they can be. Um, and they wanted to go deeper, which takes me back to students are looking for more than just physical activity, right? And physical accomplishments. They're
Hmm.
always looking for that deeper thing, that missing piece, that whole. And basically, my response would always be, "Well, I'll tell you what. Let's talk privately about that in the office or whatever." And then we'd have conversations and see where it leads or whatever, and try to help them out, best I could. So that again was a surprising, an idea that I had that always surprised me. So
Hmm. When you look back at your early career, what's something you wish you had unlearned sooner? Unlearned.
autocratic leadership style, being the being the grand poobah
Okay.
and and carrying that with me everywhere I went, like what we were talking about earlier.
Right. Right.
I was Sifu Naires, Master Naires, whatever, and I'm younger, and you've earned this title, you've earned this, I don't know, this persona, and it's false, you know. You you earn as you journey, you know, and it needs to be
That's
earned
true.
organically, not because you took a test and you got a certificate that says you're this thing, because you're not. You're not. It's a
Right.
development. It's an ongoing process, and
Right.
the your leadership style comes from the way you learned. It can come from your father, your stepfather, your uncle, your high school football coach, and then of course your master instructor from the style you're in, and uh, the leadership tactics and style that I used is horrible compared to what it is now. Autocratic. I'm the dictator. I'm the guy. And boy, I wish I'd have known better.
What's a challenge you're currently wrestling with that you don't have a clean answer to yet?
How much time do we have?
Oh, you have a lot of things, not just one.
What is a challenge?
Okay, out of the many that you have, give me one that you're wrestling with, one challenge that you're wrestling with, that you don't have an answer to yet.
I would say, at my age, you get this old and you have an understanding. I'm not that old, but I mean, as you get older, you have an understanding of what you've done, what you've learned, and where you're going. But I would still say direction. Um, and the reason is this: you have certain accomplishments, whether they be financial accomplishments, what you've done in your with your schools or your career, your marriage, your kids, maybe grandkids, these kind of things. So you've accomplished certain things that you set out to do. There were challenges along the way, hard times, good times. But once you've accomplished this thing and you feel like you got a little bit of control on your mortgage, hard things and your marriage, and your kids are gone, and now you have maybe grandkids on the way and these kind of things, and you've got your yard the way you want it and your house, and then sometimes you wonder about direction. Now we're in trying times. We've got wars and rumors of wars, and
Mm.
we've got all kinds of challenges financially out there in the financial system. Um, we've got challenges with division and all these things. And guys like us, we're in positions of leadership on a small scale. And how do we um, how do we what direction do we go in? How can we be functional? How can we be of use in our realm of influence? So I think that I think that direction is a serious question to question yourself with on what am I going to do now? Because I'm not done, right? I still got gas in the tank. And when I get to the end, I stand before the Lord God. I don't want to have any gas left in the tank. you
Mm,
know, I want to have
hmm
used it. So, and as martial artists, we need to do that. We need to pursue great things, hard things. And we need to pass those types of work ethics on to the younger generation, especially now since we have these woke generation and I say this not in a demeaning way, but we have kids growing up that are weak. They don't know how to work. They don't have self-discipline or self-control. And everything goes. And of course, I'm not talking about every single person, but we all know what I'm talking about.
mm.
And
Yes, I know.
and
Yeah.
while we have time, how do we pass that on? Because if we don't, guys our age, if we don't pass this on, man, it's gonna be rough for everyone out there. So I'd say for me, still always looking for direction on how I can use whatever I have uh, to the best of my abilities and make a difference and continue to keep the foot on the pedal to the metal. I would say so. Direction is the biggest challenge, and yeah,
Okay.
question yourself on direction all the time, and then pick something and go for it until you're directed otherwise.
hmm Right.
Yeah.
I agree with that. To the audience, if you find this information is interesting and helpful, hit like. All right, we have some more questions. If you could freeze one moment from your journey and revisit it at any time, what would it be?
Probably when I took my family, my wife and 6 kids to China, and we lived there for a little over 6 years straight. I'd been traveling to China for almost, I don't know how long, almost 40 years now, um, doing many, many, many trips, and sometimes more than once a year, twice, 3 times a year, doing tours and all these kind of things. But when I took my family over there, it was a big deal. Leaving your house and your school. Um, we had several schools and locations, uh, like charter schools in Ohio State University. I was there for 14 years teaching in the PE department and all, all the things that you've built up to do and then just leave it. Uh, but while I was there, was incredible for my family and myself, and I'd revisit that over and over and over again and do some things differently, of course.
Okay. What's a
Yeah.
habit or daily routine that quietly makes a huge difference in your day-to-day life? I think I know
Prayer
the answer to
walking,
this. Yeah, I knew
prayer
the answer to
walking.
that. Yeah.
And the reason I say prayer walking is because we have animals, we got chickens and goats and dogs and cat and all kinds of things, and so I take my dogs out and we go out and get a little bit of woods back here, and um, you do prayer walking and set your day, set the course for your day. You get bombarded by the world all day long. So if you start with prayer and end with prayer or time with God or reading or something like that, for me, uh, that gets you through the day because, like I said, all day long you're bombarded by the world. So prayer walking, and then I would say morning exercises, a lot of qigong breathing style exercises and stretching exercises and maybe some other stuff. I guess that sets my day. It's a daily routine that quietly, makes a huge difference.
Who is someone who fundamentally changed your way of the way you think, even if they never knew it?
I would have to go back to the strong men in my life, good or bad. Um, I can think of a junior high basketball coach. I can think of a freshman year basketball coach. I can think of my stepfather who had a lot of problems. we came up, we had to deal with a lot of things with alcohol. He was a World War II on Iwo Jima. He was a Marine Raider.
Hmm.
Came back with alcoholism and these kind of things, and was a toughest man I've ever known in my life. Probably three of my master instructors in the martial arts, uh, and my father. Um, the men in my life, and I think that that's true for almost everybody. And a lot of the problems that people face and are challenged with daily is because of a lack of strong men in their life, a lack of that strong father figure, whether it's your real father or not. And again, a big, big, big reason people join the martial arts, especially as you get older, as teenagers and adults. As you know, back in the old days, it was adult men doing martial arts in the 60s, 70s,
And that
80s.
was it.
There was no kids and a
Nope.
few tough women. Now it's all kids and you can't get teenagers or adults, you know.
That's true. It's very difficult. Very
It's
difficult. Just
very,
the
very
opposite.
difficult. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we need strong men, and I think that everything came from the strong men in my life and the lessons that I learned. And when you get this age, you reflect on those things and you realize what an impact they had on you, whether it was a college professor or whoever it may be.
Right. Yeah, I'll tell you, it's the whole thing with the kids started, and I believe I was told Bill told me the story.
Hmm.
The kids started because of Chuck Norris. What happened was that he went on some TV show or something like that as an interview when he brought some kids on. And I think it was in the 70s, Bill told me. It was in the 70s, and ever since then, kids started getting involved. He had them perform right on TV, right on the interview that he was doing, and that's what had
Yeah.
kids start doing it. At least
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the
I
story
guess
that Bill
that's right.
told me. Yeah.
Yeah. I never thought of it really much like that, and then you had like, you got to see, Ernie Reyes Jr., and as a little guy doing some TV shows and movies. And then there was, Ninja Turtles and all that kind of thing.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah,
it
yep,
changed everything. Power
sure
Rangers,
did.
so on.
Yep.
Yeah.
I had so many kids come into my school, and the parents would tell me, "Oh, they want to be a Power Ranger. They want to be a Ninja Turtle." Well, you better be prepared to do a lot of work, and within a month they were gone. Oh, it's too hard. You're
So
too
true.
tough on my little child. He's just a
Jason,
kid.
yeah, Jason David Frank was a friend of mine, and God rest his soul, I miss him. And he had been to my school a few times, and I introduced him to Arnold and that kind of thing. And I just he had such an influence on kids, especially my kids, so much so. And what a great impact that he had as well. So
Yeah. To the audience, I'd like to take a moment to thank you all for watching. I truly hope you're all enjoying these interviews as much as I am doing them. If you are, please consider leaving a like, subscribing to the channel. It really helps us move forward. If you feel led to support the show by going to martialartspastandpresent.substack.com, you can hit about at the top of the page, scroll down to PayPal. Every bit of support, whether it's subscribing, liking, sharing, or financially supporting us, would help. So I want to thank you all. Back to Jeff.
hey, I'll plug you
Uh,
too. These are interviews are great, and they're not all like mine, folks. It's Yeah, you've got so many great interviews on there. I've been going through them, and they're such a wealth of information that all these guys have. It's awesome. And women. I don't
and,
mean
and
to.
that is the one thing that's so great about it. So you're getting
Yeah.
all this information because I only have one rule. You have to be in the martial arts for 25 years in order to be interviewed on my show.
Hmm.
Um, and the reason for that is because of what you just said. I want people to be able to tell about the way it used to be, and I want to
Hmm.
see that come back. Bill says I'm fighting a losing battle, but he said go for it.
I think I know
He
why
said
he
times are
said that.
different. Yeah,
They
times are
are.
different, he said.
The way we trained, you can't. I mean, you and I've talked about this. It's we used to go to class, and every class, I mean, you had bruises, maybe you had a little bloody nose or busted lip or something. And I, and you couldn't wait to get back. You couldn't wait for the next class, and
Yeah.
you just can't train the way you used to anymore. You just can't do it.
No, you can't do it. If you try to do it with the students, either them or their parents are going to sue you.
Oh man, the guys I hear about, that are in the military now, that the way boot camp is compared to when back in the day, and just everything, the classes, the testing, in Bill's day, um, it was only tough men could earn a black belt, and you had to fight for your black belt. And there's guys that have been in 20 years and still didn't have their black belt because they just didn't do it. So it used to really, really mean something, you know.
It used to.
Yeah. It still
What's
does.
the
It still does to a point. Yeah.
Yeah, to a point, but not like it used to. It's
Right.
completely different.
It is.
I've talked about it many times, the things that I've seen, and it just bothers me, and
Well, let
that's
me
why I do this thing.
let me tell you one more thing that Bill said one time. We were on the
Yeah,
road doing some seminars together, and I said, we did this one school. No way I'll mention it, but it's like I was like, oh my gosh, it was all black belts, and they were terrible. I mean, I was like, and we're talking about it, not in a demeaning way, but it's like, oh my God, I can't believe these guys are black belts. That was the worst martial arts I've ever seen. And and Bill said, yeah, but did you notice everyone was happy? Everybody was excited. Everybody was up, and everybody loved it. And he says, so the question is, are they better than they would be without it?
good
And the answer
question.
was yeah. The answer was yes. And that little saying that made me think about it. It's like, you know what? They're they're still better off than if they weren't doing it. They're
Right.
learning and they're happy and they're gaining something. And that was a good lesson.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Bill comes up with the strangest questions and scenarios and answers, but
Well, he's been around.
they all make sense.
Yeah,
They all make
there's
sense.
nobody on the planet that travels like him every since 1980, or a little bit after that, when he retired, doing seminars every week for
Right.
40 some years. It's
Yeah, and he's
unbelievable.
still going strong. It's great.
Still going at 80 years old. It's unbelievable. So he's seen more instructors than you and me. He's seen more schools. He's seen more, people have talked to him about problems more. I mean, he's an experienced guy and
Yeah,
a
he
wealth of
is.
information. So,
He sure is. What's the one question you wish people would ask you, but almost never do?
well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what's needed out there, and what sometimes what I try to do when I'm having conversation with somebody is, how can I pray for you?
Okay.
How can I help you? How can I add value to your life? In other words, engagement. Um, how can I engage in your life? How can I help you in some form or fashion? I guess maybe that's a question that everyone would like to have because everybody's got an answer.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Jeff, if people want to know more about you or want to follow you or anything like that, how can they find you? Have you written any papers or a book or anything like that or anything of that sort?
I, I have I have 13, I'm not joking, books
13.
books that are either 25% written, 50% written,
Oh.
60% written.
And not one finished?
No, no,
Oh,
but
God.
it is a goal of mine to get one or two of them out there, but I don't want to just be the, write a book like everybody does and just to have it. But I do feel like a couple of them would be beneficial and just based off of experience and I'd like to get those out. But anyway, social media stuff, I'm on Facebook. Beware, there might be some controversial things that I post out there, but so it's not just all martial arts related. Messenger is how you can get a hold of me for now. I have a website. It's going to be jeffnaayers.com, but it's under construction because it's new. It's completely going to be reformatted and completely redone. So that'll come out, sometime soon, as soon as I get it done. So if you want to get a hold of me, Messenger would be the best
Okay.
probably way to do it because I check that. One F in my name, JefNaayers, and you'll find my Facebook, and then just hit me up with Messenger.
Okay. Sounds good. Jeff, I got to tell you, I always enjoy talking with you. And I want
Yeah,
to thank you for allowing me to interview you today. Would you come back again?
yeah, sure. Yeah,
Because
yeah,
I'd love to have
it's
you
a lot of
back.
fun.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah,
like to have
sounds
you
good.
back. And like I said, the project that I'm working on to try and get out there, how the Bible and things in the martial arts, how they follow the Bible, or should follow the Bible. I'm hoping that you'll in the future you'll work on that with me, and we'll get that out.
Yeah, sounds great. I'd like to, if you don't mind, I'd like to say one other thing.
Yeah, sure, go right ahead.
Um, a great passion of mine right now is to and I think another thing that Chuck Norris started when he did kick drugs out of America is, and it's one of the goals of at least the Global Chinese Koshu Wushu Society, um, and some other federations. I know your friend Dan Pinkowski, our friend Dan, is
Yes.
doing a big thing in the with the Korean martial art world. But one of the things that I'm very passionate about right now is what Chuck Norris did with kick drugs out of America. What he did was he did something that's bigger than martial arts. It's not a tournament, it's not a federation, it's not a Hall of Fame, it's not any of those kind of things. Something bigger and beyond the martial arts. So my passion right now, that I feel very strongly about, is like most of the world, the child trafficking of young boys and girls. Um,
Hmm.
I'm really interested in what Tim Tebow's doing, reaching out to him and his organization. If you guys aren't familiar with that, look at what Tim Tebow's doing in that world. But there's other organizations out there too that you can get involved with. One of my passions and goals is to how do we bring the martial arts world together to get involved and do something in that world? How do we contribute to the stopping of the sex trafficking that's going on with minors and beyond? So it's something that I'm currently working on with some larger organizations. It's something that you're going to be hearing more about, and it's how can we do kind of what Chuck did with Kick Drugs Out of America, but on a global scale? How can the martial arts world, in the whole world, come together and get behind something where there's not about egos, it's not about martial arts, it's not about your title, it's about how can we contribute, whether it's financial, whether it's events, how do we contribute and participate in some form or fashion into stopping this horrific child sex trafficking.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you'll be
Yeah.
hearing
I
more about
agree.
it.
I agree.
Yeah,
Also, with that said, let me know if there's anything I can do, if I can help get the word out by using this podcast and so on and so forth.
great.
Let me know. I'd be happy to do that.
Yep, sure will. Sure will. Yep, putting the pedal to the metal, going forward.
Okay. Well, I'd love to be part of it.
Awesome.
So,
Love it.
Jeff, thank you again, and I'm sure I'm gonna see you real soon.
Yes, sir. All right. Thanks a lot, Ed.
You got it.
Make sure you look into Super Patch. It's great for boosting immunity, athletic performance, pain reduction, and much more. Visit mapap.superpatch.com to learn more. Thank you for joining us today. To learn more about us, visit our Substack at martialartspastandpresent.com. If you would like to support us, go to patreon.com/martialartspastandpresent. If you like the content and have not yet subscribed, you can find us on all of the major platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube.